Hey there, and welcome back into another episode of Integrative Health Simplified podcast. My name is Kari. I'm your host, and I'm excited to dive in to a really common health misconception today. We are in episode 10, and we're talking all about the liver today. So I titled this episode, My Liver Markers Look Good. Could I still have a congested liver? And congested, I just mean stagnant, not working properly. Could I have something wrong with my liver if all of my markers look good in quotation marks that my doctor hasn't said anything about it. So I first want to start off this episode by just kind of going over what does the liver do for us? What are the processes that the liver handles? Just to get a good idea of what it does for us in the body, because it does a lot of really important things. So the liver is actually the largest internal organ in the human body. Fun fact, it's a digestive organ that sits at the upper right side of the belly, if you kind of want to know where it's at physiologically. So the liver is always communicating with other digestive organs and receiving information on available nutrients and the presence of threats like heavy metals or toxic substances, things like that. As the main organ involved in detoxification, that's probably what you've known it as, a detoxification organ. It's the liver that recognizes toxic substances and converts them into things that can be, gotten rid of out of the body. And so just a few things, kind of a list of things that the liver does for us. It actually filters blood coming in from the digestive tract. It produces bile, which is a really, really important thing to help us to properly digest our food and absorb it, something that's missing from a lot of clients that I see they're not producing enough bile. Another thing is it dissects and converts nutrients into available foods for absorption, of course, helping to spread nutrients throughout the body via the bloodstream. It eliminates toxic waste, of course, that is left behind from foods and substances that are broken down. It breaks down and removes excess hormones, which is another big key why, if the liver is not working properly, women can really experience bad cycles like PMS type symptoms. It stores vitamins and minerals for when they're needed. So it is a major area of storage for things that our body will need later. It manages the conversion of fats from your diet to making cholesterol and things like that. It takes carbohydrates you consume and turns them into glucose, which obviously is a form of energy that our body uses, and it's stored for later use. So it does a lot of really important things for our body. And so whenever we think about, well, how do we know if our liver is working the way that the way it needs to, basically, because I'm going to give you a list of just things that might, you might could kind of check off, okay, I struggle with this, I don't struggle with this, just as a good maybe self-examination that you could do. But first off, I just kind of want to mention the lab work, because sometimes we go in for labs, we're not feeling our best, and we want to get some blood work drawn. And so we do that, our doctor looks at it and says everything looks great, but yet we still don't feel good. So conventional labs are just not always accurate unless something is really wrong. They typically look for, in the conventional setting, something to be way high or way low. The range is pretty wide. And so something has to be really wrong for it to flag high or low, typically. And so that's the same thing when it comes to your liver function. Something has to be really high or low before they're going to say, oh, maybe we need to take a closer look at this. And so conventional medicine usually just looks at a couple of different indicators for lab function as well. And so I'm actually going to give you a extensive list of what I would look for on blood work. If you want to check that out in the show notes, I'm not going to go over it while we're on here, just because it'll be a good way for you to just kind of take a screenshot of that. And next time you get your blood work drawn, if you go to the doctor's office, of course, you can just kind of do your own examination just to kind of get a good idea. Oh, okay, a lot of these are showing up for me. Maybe my liver does need more support. So if you're interested in that, check out the show notes or the description of this video if you're watching it on YouTube, and they will be there for you. So let's just think about what signs and symptoms might be showing up if you are really struggling with liver function, or if your liver is really struggling. So you might have pain right around where the liver is, which would kind of be in the upper right quadrant, like I mentioned, or even around your breast. You could even have some kind of radiating pain around that area. If you have mood swings, or if you just kind of have a short fuse, that can be another sign that your liver might be kind of struggling. Chronic fatigue, which obviously can be very multifaceted, could be a sign that your liver needs some help. Definitely skin rashes, itchy skin. Because the thing is, when you think about how the body detoxes, if toxins can't get out the way they would prefer to, which would be to be filtered through the liver and excreted through the bowels or through your urine. If it can't do that, if it can't follow that pathway out, it's going to come out through the skin. And so a lot of times rashes and acne and things like that are really linked back to poor liver function. So that's a really key one. If you have light colored bowels or they float, I know that might be like, well, I don't really look at my poop. You might want to just start looking at your poop. It's not a bad thing. I'm not talking about really getting down there and dissecting it unless you want to. There might be a time for that. But just kind of take a peek. I think it's really important to keep track of your bowels that way. So if they are lighter in color, and if they float, that might be a signal in your brain. Oh, okay. I remember Kari telling me that. And the reason for this is because if your liver's not working like it should, you're probably not producing enough bile, and you're probably not breaking down fats like you should. And so that's what kind of causes that lighter color, and also for them to float on top of the water. Digestive problems. And this can range anywhere from constipation to diarrhea. And really, particularly, it might even be a back and forth between those two. You have constipation and then you'll have diarrhea. So which really means you're not fully eliminating, which could be, obviously, it could be multifaceted as well. But a lot of times we only tend to focus on gut health, like what's going on in the gut. But oftentimes I find that we need to look up further in the drainage funnel, which would be the liver. And that often can be a really big key to why we're having these digestive issues. One other big thing is allergies. Allergies can be associated with a stagnant liver, just simply because it throws off how the histamine is processed in our body, which can lead to increased allergy type symptoms. Dark circles under your eyes can be another indication that your liver is a little bit stagnant. And then headaches or migraines, because if you think about it, if all of those processes that the liver should be doing are kind of getting backed up, it would make sense why headaches or migraines might come into play when you think about the liver. Last but certainly not least are the PMS type symptoms, because if you'll remember, I talked about how the liver breaks down our excess hormones and removes them from our body. That is one of its main processes. And if that's not happening like it should, then we're going to experience kind of a backup, and which can be seen as like PMS type symptoms. So those are it's kind of a short list, but a lot of those are things that a lot of people deal with. So that list is not exhaustive. However, I think that it'll give you a good idea if your liver might need some love. And to be honest, almost every single client that I review their lab work, and then I'll go and look at their signs and symptoms, their liver is like crying out for help. So it's just kind of a thing to where we are coming in contact with a lot more things that need to be processed. We are not necessarily maybe eating the best foods. We're eating on the go. Like there's so many different reasons why our livers are under a lot more stress these days. And so I think it only makes sense to give them a little bit more love, right? So I wanted to share a little personal story with you guys. So gosh, I just can't even remember when this started, but for as long as I can remember, I have struggled with constipation. And I've shared this several times, maybe on other episodes and in emails and things like that. And it's something that was really frustrating for me. It's kind of what led me down the path to kind of where I am now, because I did all these gut protocols and things would get better, yet the constipation still remained. And so it wasn't until I learned a lot about the drainage funnel and how the body detoxes, and just really learned that, wow, I'm not eliminating properly, and I need to really look and see why that is. Now, of course, it wasn't just one thing. However, I realized that my liver was not working properly at all. I wasn't digesting food properly, and somewhere along the way, something was getting stopped up, right? And so the liver was a really big key piece in my journey to just kind of restoring proper digestion, and really a lot of these other things, right? That since I have really leaned into focusing on liver support and really digging deeper with that, I have noticed that my cycles are better. My digestion is better. I don't have seasonal allergies like I used to. There's just a lot of different things that I have noticed. I don't have as short of a fuse as I used to. So I think that we all kind of manifest these symptoms of what's going on underneath the surface in our own unique way. However, I encourage you to just kind of lean into some of these things that I have mentioned, just to see if that might be a piece that you're overlooking in your own health journey. So I want to share a big aha moment with you guys, and thing that I started implementing, I think it was around a year ago, and that is castor oil packs. Now, that might be a new term for you, or it might be something that you already know a lot about and use. Either way, just kind of want to share a little bit about how they work, and about why this will be a really good addition to your weekly routine, and just taking care of your health, a healthy habit, if you will. Castor oil pack is simply applying castor oil to some sort of pack, or like piece of cloth. There's a lot of different DIY options, or you can buy one that's a lot easier. That's what I'm going to share with you. I'm all about easy. So however you do that, you put castor oil on your stomach, and then you put something over it to kind of hold it in place and it not get everywhere. That is sort of the idea behind a castor oil pack. Now, why castor oil? So castor oil contains something called ricinoic acid, and this is the kind of special sauce to castor oil. So it does 4 specific things that are really helpful to the liver. It actually helps increase nutrients from food for our body to absorb them. It also does the same thing with supplements. So it just kind of increases absorption of those things. It also helps break down biofilms. And biofilms are something that are made by different pathogens in our body that kind of help keep them hidden. And so helping to break down those biofilms can help our body just get rid of those unwanted things that are kind of hanging around. It also helps to reduce overall systemic inflammation, which can really help our immune system work better. And just in general, it's going to help us to feel better if we can reduce inflammation. And then lastly, it helps us to shift from a sympathetic to a parasympathetic response in our nervous system. So sympathetic meaning we're in fight or flight mode, we're kind of on edge. Parasympathetic means we're sort of in the rest and digest mode, we're feeling a lot calmer. This castor oil pack can help us to shift from kind of being in that overstimulated mode to being in the more restful mode, which is really a great thing. So I love castor oil packs. I think that they are something that can be easily incorporated into our daily routine. I really like to just wear mine overnight. It's comfortable enough to wear overnight. It's not something that, it's kind of a low entry to starting this, right? It's just pretty easy to add into your daily routine. And so I'm going to share a blog post all about more of the benefits of castor oil pack. And I'll give you also a link and a code to use if you want to order your own, and the one that I love to use. So that is kind of your action item for today. If you want to kind of take your liver health and try to give your liver some love, if you will. But if you are listening to this podcast in real time on the day or two after it was released, I want to give you a special invitation to a challenge that I'm doing. It's actually called the Liver Love Challenge, and it's going to start this Wednesday, April 26th of 2023, and it's just going to be 10 days of us really intentionally loving on our liver. Now, there'll be different kind of levels that you can join in on, just depending on where you're at in your health journey and how much time you have and kind of what you feel like you can take on. But I'm really excited about this. I'm going to be intentionally pouring into this group where the challenge, that those that are taking the challenge will be just answering questions and giving some great tips on how we can love on our liver. And hopefully some of these things will obviously be things that you continue to just add into your daily routine, because really our liver will always need love. To be honest, we just need to give it love, because it does a lot for us and it can really play a huge role in our overall health. So I will have all the links for you guys, plus the list of labs that I mentioned, in the show notes or in the description of this video. And I'm excited to do this challenge with you guys if you choose to join me. All right, guys, if you have any additional questions or if I can help in any way, you can always reach out and just continue the conversation with me via email, or over on Instagram is a great way to do that as well. I'll see you guys on the next episode.